election and the election and that disastrous government that doesn't seem to be able to really focus on what is significant towards solving problems, wearing a mask or not, is ideological, and it's shocking for a country like America. And artists are suffering. Everything is still closed. Musicians can't really play, and it's a very, very devastating time. But as we always say, it's a time to reflect, a time to think. And it is a time where we can reflect on the essential, what really is of significance, of importance, and perhaps also reinvent, create new forms, because new times need new theater and new forms of theater, as Brecht said. And this certainly is a time something seems to be shifting under our feet, and we have to find out we are too close. But artists can, and after 4 months of talking to artists from all around the world, we are now opening it also up to thinkers, philosophers, producers, directors, curators. And today, which is a special day for us because it is our 100th Segal Talk. So it's even we are stunned. You know, this is a third of the year. How is that possible? But it is true. We counted it. And today we have with us a great worker in the field of theater, in the vineyard of theater, as Tom Walker said, who was here with the Living Theater. Handan Ozbilgin is here with us. Is someone who is doing a very good work, significant work, important work, somehow slightly out of the limelight of the big stage, but still the light reaches it, or what she does reaches the other ones. But she was raised and born in Ankara, in Turkey, and she is an independent theater director, producer, and an associate director of the LaGuardia Performing Arts Center at the LaGuardia Community College. And she has been served as an affiliate artist at the LARC, as well as New George's, and she is also a member of the great Lincoln Center's Directors Lab that Catania created. And it's stunning how many people have went there. So people who have come to our Segal, also in our talks, almost like the Royal Court International Writing Program and the Lincoln Center's Directors Lab seem to be doing something right, and also over a long time. She's part of Theater Without Borders, Atelier for Young Managers, and part of the Emerging Leadership Institute. She has received TCG's On the Road grant, which is a great confirmation. Not that the grant is so big, but getting it means you're doing good work. It's not so easy, and it should be much, much better funded, but everybody can do just so much. And she just recently co-founded Identity Crisis Theater Company with English translations of work from Turkey, her native country, as well as the Balkans, Middle East, and the Mediterranean. This is what she's focusing on at the moment. Handan, so where are you? Are you in Ankara?
Oh no, I'm in New York. I wish I was in Ankara. I'm in New York.
I know. I know. I am just kidding. So tell us a little bit. What's going on at LaGuardia?
Lot happening. So we launched our first virtual theater festival called MENA Theater Festival. MENA stands for Middle Eastern North African Theater Festival. So we began Monday, October 12th, and it's going to run until the end of October 17th. So every day we have a couple of events. After conversation with you, I will have 3 events to join, to listen. So we were very busy with that.
Tell us a bit about it. I mean, there's a lot to do.
Yes.
With many possibilities. You are doing this. Very big theaters, big ones, are not showing their flags at the moment. Of course, Broadway theaters seems to be invisible, but also others are. But some places like yours, which over the years or decades have really supported communities, continuing work under difficult circumstances. Why do you feel this is important, that you said, I'm going to create this festival now?
So at LaGuardia for throughout the years, I was creating this festival called Rough Draft Festival.
Yes.
We always nurture artists, emerging artists, mid-career artists, and there was no, so you could be experimental artist, you could be, a traditional form of writing, you could be a director, playwright. We gave platform to artists to create and time to create. So rough draft was my passion, and it's still my passion to give. I think artists needs time to create. So rough draft was about that. It's not about the product, but it's about the process. So throughout the years, I have been working on that festival, and
how many years?
It started. Rough draft started actually 2007. I was a part-time employee at LPAC, LaGuardia Performing Arts Center, and a few years later I became full-time. So I will say 2007, but last few years it just found its voice. Just basically from the name from the title, it is rough. So people just put their idea out there and they experiment with it. And it's very important, I think, for artists to have that time and space to create. So rough draft was important to me, and I didn't want to say, oh, this is just for Middle Eastern artists or European or Turkish. It is for everybody. So pandemic happened in March, and it was the beginning of Rough Draft Festival, and we didn't know anything about the pandemic. We knew it was bad. We didn't even know we had to put a mask on, but Rough Draft was about to open. So I was just like saying, oh, please let me open. I worked so hard on it. Please let me open. So we opened the Rough Draft Festival. We had the opening night, and afterwards everything shut down. So, and what happened during that time, of course, March, April, for everybody, not just for me, but for, I think, everybody in New York, we were the hot spot. And it was very surreal, horrifying time. And during that time, I felt that I am in a privileged position because I have my job at CUNY. We have our spaces. I can still afford to do stuff. And with that, of course, rough draft is something I will continue to do in a physical space. But with that, I was thinking, I gotta do more now than ever, because I don't know what's gonna happen next year. Do I have the job? Do I have the platform? So with that idea, MENA, Middle Eastern North African community I have in New York, I say, I gotta do something about part of my identity is Middle Eastern. Not the whole, but part of it. I say, I have to do something about this community because they have been giving me a lot, and I think it's underrepresented. So I say, this is about the time that we have to give more to people we were presenting throughout the years. So that came with that. It's part personal reasons and political reasons that I really wanted to do this festival. Of course, it's not just me, my managing director, Stephen Heath, and the group of people at LaGuardia say, let's do it. Let's start a season with this and just do this festival. So it was just like, understanding the urgency that this might be the last. I am approaching everything as if it's the last time. So I gotta do this for the community, for the underrepresented. So that is the whole idea behind the festival. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the great missions of theater this time we live in is to represent the underrepresented who are, or if they are represented, they're even represented by someone else and not by themselves. Yeah. Big theaters, who should do even, the off-Broadway, they function as off-Broadway houses, whether it's the Roundabout or Signature or others. One, even perhaps, part of what comes out of a Lincoln Center, it is next to the great director's lab, perhaps not visible on the stages and fully. So, I think, how come that you do that in a small space with very little resources? What was it, your personal experience that you felt I have to be a voice, a megaphone, or is it part of the mission of your center?
It's a part of our mission because LaGuardia Performing Arts Center, we are located in Long Island City, which is the most diverse community in New York, maybe in the world. So we have to present that student body. And that has been always the mission of, like, if you do casting for a play with students, it's so hard to find a white actor. So it's easier to find. So it's extremely diverse. So
it's harder to find a white actor than
a play. So we have to go out and find a white actor. This is very unusual.
very
for
unusual.
New York. So that is our student body. This is our population. So
tell us a little bit about the composition of it, your student body, which represents New York, where white people basically are in a minority right now.
Minority. It's all minority, and there are numbers. If you go to, I won't be able to tell the numbers, but this is like 60 or more countries represented. I mean, has been the student, is the student at LaGuardia. So it's extremely diverse. You see when you walk inside the college, it's just the United Nations or even bigger than United Nations. So we have been, of course, I have been part of that community, and myself coming from Turkey and being an immigrant. And it's very interesting to me, I should put it out there. I never say to myself, oh, I am an immigrant and I have this mission to fulfill. But since the election 2016, or my position here, I say, I am the immigrant, I am the underrepresented, and I gotta do this. I have the ownership of who I am, my identity, along with the identity of the college and my job. So we are we are completely dedicated to the minority groups and just having their voice on our platforms. But it's a personal mission as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it is really of importance to really represent the world as it is, to see the world as we see it with our eyes, and it is not represented on the stage. And it's, if you go to the big theaters, big places, the houses, it is not there. And part, of course, of the mission of what we think of theater is to give space. Someone said it funny, the theater is, done for white audiences, by white writers, by white directors, because that's what you think. It's the norm. It's the rules. These are the rules of the game. And we're going to talk with Florian Malzacher, who wrote a book about this. That the games, the theater perhaps should look at a game, and it's but the rules are changing. And someone said the over privileged but underpigmented people, are ruling. Even in New York, you walk around, you see the red light, the sign is a white man walking. Nobody, I'm stunned by it.
It's very true.
In Europe, it's green, Here
exactly.
it's a white man walking. And what does that mean? And luckily, it's not a red sign and a woman has to wait, but what's the big difference, in that work? So what is the idea? Who can represent these communities? Tell us a bit. What is your idea? What are your politics about representation?
First of all, you gotta give time and space to people for the presentation. Any artist across the board, you need. So I think it's a secure place, the place that people feel like, okay, I am not forced to produce, or I am not afraid to talk. There's no censorship. There is no boundaries with what you want to do. Of course, don't forget, in the physical space, we are on the college campus and there are rules to that. But what I'm talking about, the idea, so it's, I think, safe space for artists to create, and making sure that, like, when I was putting together MENA Festival, reaching out to people who can give you feedback or help you to make it better. So it's not just your vision, but helping you to put this together with people who has expertise on the field or knows that. All of a sudden you start thinking, I say, okay, I have an Iraqi playwright, but how about, should I go to, Palestine? So you start thinking and putting the pieces together. So you have to make sure, I think, when you put a festival, that you are fair, you do your research, and you make it about a team, not just about yourself. That's what I have been finding out more about MENA. And it's very humbling experience in the sense that, like, I'm learning from it. I'm inspired by everyone who's there. But I think I'm learning to also be an activist more. Like, it's not just about the play reading, but it's more about the conversation, like how we are. I think that's extremely crucial to put the ideas out there.
So you have a conversation with every presentation, right?
Yes, we do. Some of them is longer. Like you will have a conversation with, let me say, Abhishek Majumdar. He's from India. When I say people from certain countries, actually they are everywhere. They are very global right now, but he's, I think, born and raised in India, but now. So for instance, you will moderate the conversation. He's a playwright. And after about conversations is longer, what I mean by like half an hour to 45 minutes, and then reading an excerpt from his play. But also we have shorter ones, like 15 minutes, just to say hello, who they are. Our website has all the links. But yes, I think conversation, and thank you for your program, it's very important to hear people talking. Are you really, I mean, since Monday, I'm taking notes what people say, playwrights, administrative people, like the producer. I say, wow, I am so inspired by it. Let me go search more. So I find the value in that so much. And I want Mina to be that platform too.
Mm-hmm. You're doing it now for over 10 years. Is that connected to the community in your of your place in Queens where you are? Do you have an audience? Do people come, or is it the university? Is it happening inside the university more?
Inside the university, we always try to include faculty or students to anything we do. I mean, if we have a play, we make sure that they are included as actors or assistant directors. But also for LaGuardia Performing Arts Center, our employees are alumni, like they are students who's working for us. I would say 50% of our crew are students. But for Mina Festival, because now we are not in a physical space, it's much harder to reach the community. Like you don't talk to someone in the corridor and say, oh, we are doing this, or the posters. But we have a student group called Unheard Voices, formed by CUNY students, mostly LaGuardia. They are reading the excerpts from international plays. So they are very much involved with the whole process, from casting to the reading. And I will tell her, Una Bahara, she's the leader of that group, and she's so good. She's the producer. So I am including the community in that sense. Like students are involved with Mina. And also, of course, we are always inviting anyone in the college to come and join. We have a faculty member moderating a conversation. So yes, the community.
Whenever I came also to the Rough Draft Festival, you had quite an audience, also people from neighborhoods who came in. So Handan, why are you doing this? Why do you believe theater is of significance at a university or in your community?
I think we have privileges. First of all, I never have to worry about, I get paid. I have a salary like a full-time faculty. So I'm never worried about I have to fundraise for a production. So that is amazing. So we have also, before the pandemic, we have physical spaces. I mean, we have 2 theaters at LaGuardia. That is amazing. Space in New York, if you are not in New York, space is everything. So we have 2 theaters. We have money. I'm not talking about big budget. I'm not talking about $1 million, but we have a group of people who can put things together. So why not use that to create art? That's all we need. So yes, I think since the day I started working, because I'm a director, I came to the space, I was a part-time employee. I said, wow, we have a space here. You got to use that space. This cannot be empty. You got to use this like 24 hours. And thankfully, LaGuardia Community College has been very supportive to us. So yeah, that's the reason, because I have everything that I should be doing this. Why not? So.
Yeah, and I think in New York City, your festival has a track record. It's one of the very, very few places that really gives space for readings, for development, for process, and to nurture also artists. I always get emails before they say, come here, I do this, I'm directing this. So it is, and I feel often it is not really taken as serious as it should be. It's an enormous contribution. But my question was not also just for LaGuardia, because why do you think, what is the impact of theater and art for real? Why do you think it's a tremendous work you do? Why do you do it? What is the result? What is the reason? What is the meaning of it?
I think, someone has to do this. We have to give space. And for me, you need time, you need space to grow. And art is especially needs that more. And for me, I put myself always in the position of the artist, even though I'm producing, that it's not about the fame, it's not about the product, it's not about the money, but just to see the idea coming together in front of you, or the implications that what that can be in the future is extremely fulfilling for me as a person. And I think it's essential because nobody gives that room to grow. As a student, okay, so you gotta be good at something, but sometimes it's time to get the things right. And that time to me is essential. And I'm very grateful that with the LaGuardia, I was able to do that one. So I hope I'm answering your question, but it's a very personal thing. I really believe in growth and time, and also risk-taking. I should say risk-taking. You gotta put it out there. You gotta, and I always tell this to rough draft artists, if they feel like, oh, I am in the midst of it, I don't wanna present it. No, that's the time you should really letting yourself to be vulnerable and opening the dialogue. And I witness sometimes, like, people see, let's say you hear a reading, and afterwards you see the reading on stage, which is like rough draft, you see the rough copy, and you start talking about, oh, I remember this actor, he was doing that in reading, now it changed. So all of a sudden it becomes about the work. So you are attached to it, so you grow with it. It's not just the artist grows with it, audience grows with it. And I truly believe in that. I believe it's a very, very slow process, but I think in a long term, it pays off. You get one person dedicated to seeing the process, that one person means 1 million in maybe 50 years. So.
How do you select the artists? What is important to you of what you present?
For rough draft, there was no criteria. There was no criteria at all in terms of the style of the work. So it can be site-specific. It can be well-written play. It can be interpretation of Shakespeare, Macbeth. So there was no limit to it. But I think, to me, the most important thing, the artists, when they apply for it, they have to understand where they are with the piece and what do they want to accomplish during rough draft, which means they say, I wrote this piece, but I'm questioning dance, using dance form in it. I really want to explore during the rough draft if dance works, or I want to make scene one better. So I am focusing on if they exactly know what they have to improve. That's very important. They know what they want to do with the piece. Because when they go in, they have a limited time, they have 20 hours, and they have a couple of performances. They have to know exactly what they're aiming, what they want to accomplish. That's very crucial, I think, for artists. Mm-hmm. And they have to build a little bit more in New York. Like, it's not something, oh, I wrote a play yesterday, I'm going to put it on. Their resume, their hard work, their survival in this crazy scene is crucial too. Very crucial.
Tell us about some of the artists who you work with. Where do they come from, and what do they write about? What are things we don't see or hear on other stages?
I mean, for MENA artists, I will give an example because also she was also part of RAFTA. Sanaz Gajari, I mean, she worked with, the last name I'm gonna, Sanaz Gajari. So I will talk about her a little bit. She was a RAFTA artist. She was working on a piece called Red Wednesday in RAFTA. And it was about 5 years ago, I will say. So, for instance, Red Wednesday was about her personal experience during the her uncles, her family uncles' experience in Iran, the revolution in Iran. So the piece is about that. So she worked on that piece at Rough Draft. It was first a script, like, you know, rough script, and she put it on the stage, and later on we brought her back to work more. So we saw a production. So 2-3 years she worked on that piece, and you see with Sanaz how much is improved with that. And it's called Red Wednesday. It's based on a real life experience. But what was so fascinating to me, every time she's searching something, she's in it, she's finding new angles, because she keeps seeing on stage in front of the audience, okay, I gotta work on this angle, I gotta work on this design factor. So it was improving in front of us. And 2 years, I think she worked on it with us 2 years. But now she's part of MENA Festival. She's working on a new piece. It's called Iranian Girl. She wrote it, one woman show. She's gonna work on that. So there are so many pieces. I'm just coming up with Sanaz because I've been talking to her this morning. But yes, there are so many artists like Sanaz working on a piece, and it gets better and better each time. One other example I'm going to give it to you. American Dreams. Right now, it is online. It's a virtual. It's virtually happening. Leila Bach, Tamila Woodard was behind of it. So American Dreams was part of Rough Draft a couple of years ago, 2016, I would say. So it was just an idea. Leila and Tamila wanted to do something. I said, we have this idea, American Dreams. Now American Dreams are a full production, went to Cleveland Public Theater, now is all over, and it's just gained momentum. They found the voice for it, and it was, but during the Rough Draft, they were experimenting with the idea. So, and it's still going on right now. I have to watch what they are doing. But yeah, 2 years from now, they built that, and they're still building, and now is a full production.
Mm-hmm. In those 10 years of really working with, stories from writers from around the world, from immigrant families. I mean, there was Marcy Arlen had the great Immigrant Theater Project. I think you, in a way, took that over. Of course, we have also the Play Company, that's dedicated to productions of international work. We have our Penwell Voices Festival, but I think you're very special. We got so many artists who you give space and place to. So what are your rules? What did you find out? Let's say, can a white actor represent Arab a character? Who represents who? Has the director be from the country where they are from? How do you deal with languages? What did you find? What did you experience where you say this worked? And also, what does not work? Where?
I'll give an example of MENA because it's just recent. So we are reading the excerpt from the plays, international playwrights. One of them was She, He, Me by Amal Raphael Khoury. So it is about 2 transgender characters in the play, and one other gay character. So it's an excerpt, but the mission of the festival to make sure that students read those parts. So it was almost impossible to find a transgender student who will read for 40 years old character. So that's right now you are at the decision of, do I go outside, find a transgender, which will be the right thing to do? Of course, those experiences should be told by people who's transgender. But with that particular one, we went outside, we found a Middle Eastern actor to read the transgender from male to female. for the role. But what happened is that, and the other two students read the part, but it was there, none of them was transsexual or gay, but the actor who read the trans part was from Middle East, and the character has to be Middle Eastern. So she gave something about being Middle Eastern to the part, like Middle Eastern mom. So she knew the attitude, she knew the accent. So yes, we missed the transgender part, but we won something. We gave the authenticity to the character. So with that example, it felt very honest. It felt real. I had no problem. Audience didn't have problem. But in terms of directing, if you had the time, energy, and production, if you are doing a play about Middle East, you gotta know about it. I don't think white male should be doing a play about the female body. So I'm a true believer of that. Like, you gotta have the right casting and right director for it. But for this particular incident, it worked for this excerpt because it was a short time, it felt real. But yes, I'm a true believer of people has to, if you are talking about female body, I think it needs to be directed by a female. No question in my mind about that. I'm being much more aware of that now than before, actually.
Has the Black Lives Matter movement, has that had an impact on your work, your thinking, or the students, or future work?
Absolutely. I mean, I was teaching last semester when the movement was happening, and then it was virtual. Of course, I was teaching online, and the first 15 minutes of our class was, oh, I went to protest, I was doing that. I think it was amazing. It is amazing. So yes, it was very much part of our conversation, daily conversation, and also daily activities for some of us. For Black Lives Matter, we really want to do a festival dedicated to Black Lives Matter, which will be probably in February. But again, we have to find the right person to do the creation of the festival. I am not the right person for it. For Mina, yes, but so we will do a festival about it. For students, when we are doing Gaza monologues, this is it's about the war in Palestine. And the kids who's doing the monologues, of course, don't know anything about Gaza or the war. But I keep telling them, this kid is like, when we rehearse, I tell them, the kids is frustrated because just like Black Lives Matter, they want to change the world. They want something better. So that's my communication with students too. I'm using pandemic, Black Lives Matter, what's happening in America to communicate something international or universal, because I think that's all the same at then. So yes, it's very, very, very inspiring and influential, Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm. So basically all your students, everybody was involved, went out.
Most of them, for sure. Some of them were shy to talk about it, but whoever was out there, oh, we walk for hours, we protested today. And some people came to class with Black Lives Matter t-shirts, and that's also the faculty members and us, like, what can we do, should we, and we need a platform for it to talk about it, and we are focusing February for that to make it happen. But again, I know lots of MENA playwrights. I have a good network, but for African American community, I need someone to help us with that. So that's what we are going to build. So
yeah, that also will be that a result coming out of.
Exactly. So it will be better result, I would say. So
how do you feel as someone from Turkey, as someone from, officially I think it's even West Asia in the United Nations category of it. How do you feel being in the US, in New York? How was your journey for you?
The journey for me, so I got a scholarship to study in US, and they asked me, there was an interview process. So they say, what do you want to do when you go to New York? and I say, I want to start postmodernism. I want to study postmodernism, right? So I came here. So when I came here, I was a brief-led student at CUNY Graduate Center, very briefly. But everybody's asking me about Turkish traditional theater. They are talking about puppets. They are talking about all these forms, Turkish theater, traditional forms. So I say, wow, I'm here to learn about postmodernism. So you're asking me. So that was amazing to me, to that how much my identity, where I came from, is important as the new territories that I'm gonna learn. So everything I learned in Turkey, I graduated from a wonderful college in Ankara, Dil Tarih Tiyatro. I'm trying to say it in Turkish. Anyways, in Ankara University. So everything I learned came back to me. I was saying, oh, I gotta remember what I learned about Turkish theater, what it meant to be that. So that was great for me to build something new in America, but also going back to who I was and bring both together. In New York, and with that, so what I found in New York, everybody wants to put you in a category. They say, oh, you're Middle Eastern. No, so I'm saying, I'm everything. I am European, I am Middle Eastern, I am Mediterranean, I am me. So that categorization is something I really forcefully say, no, like I am me. But throughout the years passed, I said, no, I am that, I'm that, I'm that. So my experience in New York, I never went through discrimination, or I never felt, I was always encouraged to do what I could do. But of course, I'm finding more about what means to be other too in a different perspective. I'm still trying to sort out and articulate what I mean. But is that I embrace all sides of me as a Turkish person, which is Middle Eastern, European, Mediterranean. So I am welcoming all and I'm embracing all, rather than saying that, defending myself for it. So that's where I am with it, for sure.
And how is it to be between those two, somehow between those two countries, to keep them together in the mind? Also, what's happening with Erdogan in Turkey or Trump in the US? How do you see these worlds?
Oh, I mean, Erdogan is as many people will know, is the president of Turkey, and now we have Donald Trump. So it's not good. These far right leadership is not working in Turkey. It hasn't been working for 20 years or more. So there's a heavy censorship in Turkey, and now it's very unfortunate in America. We are seeing those tendencies happening towards the directions of autocracy. And so I had this great conversation with a playwright, Ebru Nihan Çalkan, yesterday, and she said that yes, there is hardship in Turkey. There's a censorship. There's so many bad things happening, just like America. But there are so many good things happening in Turkey too, and artists thrive there too. And Turkey is divided right now: 50% for Erdogan, 54% for the liberal, and democracy, for the democracy. So we are in a divided country in Turkey. We are in a divided country in America. So I see lots of resemblances in both countries, and I feel trapped in both. So I cannot say, oh, I'll go back to Turkey. Now I can run away from Trump. I don't want to go back to Turkey. I don't want to stay here. So, but yeah, so I think it's scary times. But there are good things happening in both in Turkey and here too. So I'll try to stay positive, looking at the good things happening in both countries.
So what do you detect over those 10 years of plays, artists you work with? Are there things you pick at? Is theater becoming more towards the political, towards some activism, or do you feel No, it's more about family structures, playwrights, relationships. That often people do say that New York plays, a lot of them by writers are about small world, and but very well done, of course, psychologically motivated. But what's your? Do you see changes? What do you pick up? You have your ears so close. You pick things. People suggest to you. What do you see?
I think it's people. I think all the theater artists I am working. I think we are now all activists. I think that I cannot separate theater from the activism. I used to say my choices, my daily life is a political, right? Everything I do is political. Like my hair is political. But now I say, no, we got to underline the things now. Like I feel like we need to say it, articulate it. Before maybe it was just, oh, what I do is shows it. No, you got to talk about it too. So I feel like more and more people are activists, openly talking about rights of the minorities, underprivileged, and that is to me as a person, I feel like that. I feel like, oh, we got to do a revolution now. We got to talk it now. So I am not being, oh, okay, we'll do art and it shows it. No, let's talk about it too. So that's how I feel. And I think I see more of it too. They're an activist. I feel like everyone I work with is an activist. They want to say something, they want to do something. It's not on a stage, it's much larger, it's very global, and we are all on the same page. And it's just, to me, things are gonna get better, I think, because of that passion we feel towards art, I think.
So that's it. So you see a clear position on its take. And it's true that argument or everything is political, which also is true, but it means, or it devalues art that is clearly political, because we say, oh, it doesn't really matter if you do say it or not, or everything is, which in a way, so, but in the very big picture, it is not. Do you feel that it has made a difference at your university, for example, to say that we are not your place, and we don't go for the Broadway plays where we say we put up how to succeed in show business without trying, others, where you also involve people and you create a beautiful piece of work. You say, no, we have readings with artists from around the world and we have work in progress. Does it really have an impact? So to be really honest, for some people who might be listening, where does our university, where should we be going if they have spaces like you around the country? Is it working what you do?
I don't see a big impact. I don't see that the world is changing or people habit of liking Broadway or all that. No, I don't think the impact that I would love to have is just like Chekhov says, I think, like Uncle Vanya at the end of, I think it's so baby steps what we are doing. Maybe we'll see the results of it 50, 60 years later. No, I am not changing the group of people or anything, but one student, let's say for me, I am changing. To me is the most important thing. I have the whole life's the impact on me. But also if I reach out to one student is affected by what they see, what we do, or a couple of students, that is to me the impact. But in a larger sense, I think it's gonna take hundreds of years of change. But I just wanna say, as I am on the deathbed, I say, oh, I tried to do the right thing for me. So, but the college is, of course, sportive, but they will go to Broadway show rather than coming to Raft. I mean, it has been like that, but I understand that. I am okay with it. So I'm trying to reach that one person. I think one person impacting life of a one person is good. Am I being too vague or poetic? Am I?
No, it's good. So good to hear. It's also an honest answer about what do we do with the resources we have, the time and energy. And do you feel the fact that you are at a university, does that affect the work you select? Or if, let's say, you would be at another place in a center or run your own company in New York City, is there something that makes it different, what you present?
LaGuardia, I mean, I should say that, I mean, from Stephen Head, he's the managing director, to the, she's now a former, Gail Mello was our president, extremely supportive of any controversial subject. So I was very, very privileged to do whatever I wanted. Nobody say that you can do this, you cannot do this. So yes, I think university and being behind it, at least not saying don't do it, or like, is it that? Yes, I feel very, very, very lucky with that. I think I always say, I don't want to be rich, I don't want to be famous, I want to be free. And LaGuardia gave us that, not just me. I mean, whatever we do. And I'm really hoping that stays that way. I don't know. Now we are talking about budget cuts. We are talking about things are changing. Are we going to can stay true to what we want to do? I don't know. But yes, college and faculty, where I am, where we were, it absolutely gave us lots of platform. So lucky with that.
Yeah, it is interesting that work that, let's say in Berlin, is done by the Gorky Theater, you know, or Sala Beckett in Spain, or Royal Court, others, this kind of international global reach. It is done by university places, you know, who are kind of the guardians, LaGuardian guardians or whatever.
But I feel like a guardian. I say, who's gonna do it? People losing funding. They have to do fundraising, and now we still have it. So someone has to do it. We have the platform.
Yeah, if you wouldn't do it, this would not happen. There would be no festival with Raftas or others giving a place for work and development so do you, as you said, you work over years, so you give dramaturgical help to writers, or you help in development, or what's the idea where you said, you know, it's being developed, or is the critique after the reading and then it's you say come back in a year, or how do you?
It depends on the artist. I mean, if they need your feedback, if they want you to be there, I'm perfectly fine telling what I think of the piece or the play. It is the best part of draft, I will say, just the first conversation with the artist. You sit in a room and we talk about their ideas. I try to guide them towards the goal, what they want to achieve. And with that, it is a very respectful exchange. There's no rules to it. If some artist says, oh, what do you think? Should I do this? I will absolutely tell them. But what will I always say? I always talk about the limitations. I never talk about, oh, you have everything. I said, don't forget, you have like 3 hours. So yeah, it's a ongoing discussion with the artist. But I'm very respectful to their, and we don't have talk back afterwards. They do have talk backs with the audience members, but we don't. But what we have been doing, if something is really good, we want to bring that piece back to LaGuardia. So sometimes we did that. Very few incidents, very few times, but we did that, bring back. But it's a conversation. It's a very open, ongoing conversation with the artist. And that's the best part of my job, actually, just to sit and talk.
I mean, you mentioned that, you know, Stephen Head or your president, they support you when there were controversies. Tell us a bit, what were controversies? What were problems yet? What were difficulties? If you can, you know, when was that? When did it become complicated or dangerous?
Yeah, I will. Like nudity on stage, right? So let's say we had this show, drag show a few years ago. So we are on a college campus, and but we had the nudity. You just have to warn the people there's going to be nudity on stage. That's fine. So that's, for instance, one thing I just top of my head. Or yeah, I gotta think more about it, but. Like if I want to do a play, I'm Turkish and we have a Kurdish festival coming up, Kurdish art festival. Turkish Art Festival, and it is like nobody says, oh, this very political between Turkey and Kurdistan, like don't do it. Nobody will say that. Everybody says, oh, let's do a play, let's do a festival of courage, and I will be the first one to push that forward.
So to the festival in Ankara, you would be in big trouble, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like for me to be able to say, still the beauty in America. We still have that freedom of, I want to do this, and nobody gonna censor or say, oh, you cannot do this because we have trouble with that region or with that group. So that's the freedom of it. That's the freedom of you can bring the groups that shunned by other countries or in Turkey easily say, no, you can do this here on this platform, and that's okay. To give voice to groups that you will never hear in Turkey, maybe. Yeah. So I feel very lucky about that too.
So what did you learn in those 10 years, what you didn't know before? If someone says, we might also do this or go in that direction of work, what you do, what did you learn? What is your experience? What do you know now you didn't know when you started?
It's a great question. I think I learned, of course, I learned so many things as a producer, like where to to be patient with the process, the protocol, and all that. Of course, I mean, everybody learns in 10 years of doing. As a person, I learned my shortcomings and my strength with the work. But what I learned, I think, to be able to say what I really want or what my vision is. I think 10 years gave me the ability and the power of say, this is what I want, that's what I'm gonna do. I think 10 years, me as a person and as a producer, I learned that. So I think I'm at the place that I know what I want and I wanna do that way. And with the support from college, from my team, I can do that. But yeah, I learned so many things also, how to deal with artists, where to, pull the block, where to be nice, the budget, all other elements that takes time to learn. You wouldn't know unless you do it.
So, you can just, learning.
Constantly.
Learning is by doing, or as Brian Eno says, start cooking, recipe will come, or look here or there, but you have to start cooking. It's a play festival, Rough Draft, and I think also Mina is focused on plays. Do you see there are forms, whether it's like site specific or perhaps the kind of documentary theater forms or others? Do you feel plays are the things we should focus on, or do you feel that there are ensemble works also that you see more now done, who have a diversity of viewpoints, often not longer one director but two or three? Is there something happening, or do you feel in your work it is comes out of plays?
For Rough Draft, what was happening, I think more device work is more. So that I see more site specific, and also something artists focusing more about the quantity of the audience. So there are so many things geared towards, like, a place is not for the whole big crowd, but for one person or a smaller group, or site-specific pieces in a room, or putting everybody on stage, or doing things it's more like how to reach the audience. I think that is changing. I mean, that's my experience with Rough Draft. People exploring the different ways to reach to the audience. That is site-specific, I think, is becoming more powerful in that sense. And device theater is something I see more and more happening. The voices of, like, not just one person, but many others. So, yeah, but I will say the audience, how people do theater for smaller groups and intimate, much more intimate, rather than something you just do it and you're done. You're creating an experience. I think it's more in Rough Draft, I feel like, and more riskier in some sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it is such a significant contribution that also in a way reflects truly the city and also Queens
Yeah.
and what you do. So what you see on the streets, on the campus, somehow, if I come to your festival, I also see it. See it there. You engage people from campus students, faculty, and of course outside directors, outside writers who come and take that opportunity. If you had additional resources, and I know you said how thankful you are, but what would you do if you, LaGuardia would say, Handan Ozbilgin is doing a great job. What do you want to do? Is there something where you feel actually this should happen? This is what we need. What we would be passionate about? What would it be?
I think global work. I will be bring right now for MENA. We are inviting people online and all these wonderful playwrights, directors. I will make sure people come in physical space, work with students, work with the community. That will be my number one thing, like get the funding and fly people all over the world and just use that for that. I'm a true believer of, because with my life, I learned that it's just, you gotta be global, you gotta stay global. And if there's a funding for it, go for it. I mean, that will be my thing. Bringing any of these playwrights to work with students, I think it's so crucial, so crucial.
Mm. So residencies, long-term residencies of global theater artists.
Global theater artists coming
community at
and
the
exchange. Why not go to Palestine? And we did that actually at LaGuardia with Bulgaria. We built this global exchange. They came here, but it's all about, and also Bulgaria is a lucky country. They're not lucky, I mean, because they don't have a visa issue. But talk about Palestine, it's almost impossible, or Turkey. You gotta all these hurdles that you gotta overcome. But that will be the wonderful thing. I think it's just, even for me, I'm listening people doing work globally and I'm saying, wow, there's so little time left to do everything. So I'm like, yeah, long-term residencies, exchange, taking people, go all over. So I love the fact that someone says, oh, I am from Turkey, but I am based in New York. I am like now in Berlin. I love people to be able to be everywhere. And even with pandemic, people still do that. They still exist in a couple of places at the same time. Not same time, but traveling.
Yeah, that artists or companies are no longer even able to pin them down. Oh, you're Belgium or you're American.
I love that though. I was looking at Amal, one of the playwrights. I said, where was he from? He's in Egypt right now. He was in Berlin. So Jordan. So I was like, trying to get the pin down where he was from. It's amazing to me. I love it. I love that.
So like music travels and people listen to world music, are influenced, play in different countries. Yeah, and also I think it's a good answer to, someone said the decolonizing should happen on a planetary scale. We shouldn't think just about America. Or in our groups, who suffered more? Is it the African American? Is it the Latino? Is it Asian American? When there are, of course, differences, and they are there. But what is the question? And the question is perhaps, it's on the planet in mind. That the big shift that has also happened is that we have to think about the planet, not ecologically, and the plants, animals, what do robots mean or not? Humans playing robots, robots playing humans. But the idea of that decolonization, or the dominant, or as we Americans all say, the white supremacy, or the supremacy of Catholic or Protestant religion, also others in some places, or Muslim or Buddhist, Hindu in others. So we have to see our work in a planetary scale towards healing and towards creating a better world and leaving a better world for next generation to come. And at the moment, it really doesn't look good. We are not doing a good job. We do not leave a planet that's as intact and as it is before. And as people do say, it's, a lot of damage is irreversible, and the current administration, lots of things can be adjusted, redone, 2 more judges appointed to the Supreme Court. But the ecological disasters we are experiencing, that is real. Yeah. And as Bruno Latour and others, Frederico's on the program said, perhaps this is just a rehearsal for that things to come, and we cannot screw this up. We have to change, and theater has to be part of it, but there has to be as something what you do in your place at LaGuardia with a limited means. It's not a private college. I know how it is. You know, it's a public college. It's very limited. But even if you have this space, that still doesn't mean you can do things. Someone said opera, only war is more expensive than opera and theater, you know, but I think that's what we should be doing. We should not do wars. We should, and create and do arts. So for you, as a artist, curator, producer, what inspires you? Who are artists or people, also curators or people you admire, who matter to you? What are your points of references in your system of thinking?
I'm inspired by artists a lot. I'm inspired by you, right?
Well, thank you. No, but who artists? Name some names. Who do you look up to?
You know what? I'm just like frozen right now. So yeah, I am inspired by people who is, I will say people, I'm not going to say a name, people who I admire, that there is a strong belief that they can make a change. They go out, they do protests, or, you know, people, when we were in safe space in our homes, like first responders. I know I don't know where I'm going here, but yeah, I think I admire the ordinary people who are out there, and the artists who's able to put work out there. I think I admire the people who can survive through hardship, I think I would say. And I admire people like yourself. I'm not just saying it, to bring the world in front of us, like through the conversations, through the ideas, people who's trying to do something right with their means, you know. They don't stop. People who don't stop and who just keep doing it, even though maybe the impact is this much or none. I think I admire that. I have respect to that so much more than ever. And get up and do stuff. Don't just complain. Yeah, I think that a lot. People putting themselves out there, just, you know. Yeah. And there are, of course, there are names, but I'm just like, I can't keep thinking of Schitt's Creek for some reason. I'm like, because it entertained me, that show. I said, what am I thinking of? But no, I admire people who just gets up and do it, and just not giving up and not excusing themselves and using their means. I think that's what I admire. And I admire during March and April when I was eating from Fresh Direct. That's the food delivery. And I was saying, wow, he's out there serving food for me. So
yeah, no, I think this is a very, very valid and important statement. People who do things, who don't give up. And also Florian Malzer, who comes on now, says, you know, we have to all keep in mind that also in participatory art, just to be a participatory audience member, it doesn't mean that you really do something, you know, or you post something on a this is not activism, you know, this is a placebo. Actually, you should go out right now and be part of a force that is putting a body into our lives we live in and trying to make a change. The great Milo Rao, also, who's going to come with Katja and Carmen, talk about his book, Why Theater Matters, you know, is someone who really does that, and who also found ways and models, I think, to engage with this, the Congo Tribunal, the Moscow trials, his work in Mosul and in Iraq, and to be really in front of the people. They have put down a colonial statue that in a symbolic way in his theater again. So he's really a provocateur and puts something out. And I think what you do, that I'm so happy you came to the program, is a great example. And it is not on Times Square, and you will never see it on a billboard. It will not be on the first page of an American theater magazine. But I think, as Mike and Pollan, the food writer, said about the silence of the carrots or the silence of the yam, they are really good for you. But you will never see a commercial in the
Exactly. I'm content with it. I'm very happy to be
and
here.
what you see, the commercial is processed food. Yeah, it comes from a plant, but it's not a plant. But in a way, what you do is these are plants you are engaging it, and I think it's something that is of significance, of importance, and also in a way a model, and also because it's evolving, you put up new things. So really, really, thank you for participating, and I think this is a good start, and I'm happy. So you were our 100th guest, which is
I know,
you
such a
couldn't believe it.
I feel very happy about it. I'm so
Yes, you should.
You know, it's a lucky number. It's a lucky number.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you put together how many artists you presented over all those years, you will also be astonished. So hopefully you all will be able to listen in tomorrow to Florian Malzacher, who's also a curator coming from Europe. In a way, what you do. He wrote a book about what is theater and what is the political in the theater, what is happening in the time we live in, the time that seems to be out of joint, what are answers. And I think he found some and has some ideas about agonism, pluralism of agonism, and it got wonderful thoughts and reflections. And then, of course, Milo Rao, who I think is a strong force in contemporary theater, and to have him with us again is a big, big honor. And Katja and Carmen, who really talked to so many artists about why we need theater. And now, so I hope you all will be able to come back tomorrow and on Thursday. Thanks to HowlRound, and Vijay for hosting up Andy at the Segal, and of course for you listeners to listen in. And we are, our talks are not about the Broadway stars and the big actors, people like Handan, but they are people who do the work, as she said, people who don't give up, who also in times when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, I think, and Catania said that. So, and she's one of them, your leader of your director's lab. And so congratulations, this is really important, keep up. And I look forward to the conversation with Abhishek from India, who is a significant theater maker in the world, and you have him at your place.
Yeah,
I'm
so excited about it.
At the little LaGuardia College is the only thing in the last years. The play company did his work. We did some readings for him, but it's your place that hosts him. So this is a very big deal in our book. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I hope all goes well today. Thanks for taking time out. I know you said your listeners are so super busy. But it's a big compliment that you took the time out, and all the best, and stay safe, everybody, and the audience members. I hope that there's something in there that also created something. Thoughts are not just in our heads; they actually are real. They have consequences in what we say and what Handan said. So we hope it resonates in some way with you, because what she said can be transferred also to our lives, to be more global, to listen to experiences, that things are works in progress also in our life, and to live with difficulties, with contradictions. And maybe it takes a year or two till you find something like your artist. So there's something of real significance beside the fact that it's theater and performance. And so we get together in a group and assemble and then talk about life and the meaning of it. So thank you all very, very much. And I hope to hear
thank you very much.
again. So stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.